Far out. I cannot believe the amount of submissions that have come through in the last 2 weeks. We've literally been bombarded with emails. Ben and I have been able to sit down every morning, have our cup of coffee, and go through everyone's projects. And I cannot thank you enough for sending them in. It is so cool to see what you guys have created or creating at home, whether it is a car, there's been bikes, there's been Coca-Cola old school cooler restoration, some custom stuff with pistons. It's insane. This is the stuff that really fuels me. The creativity level, I get just like the fire under my ass. Make sure if you guys haven't, send in what you are building, what you've built. We want to know, we want to see it. At the end of this month, we will announce a winner. Make sure you email them in right here, and we want to see what you guys are doing. Back to the episode. In this one, we are working on the Radial flyer yet again. We are working in this area here, this void. Because of the custom motor that's going in this, none of the stock factory stuff is going to work, unfortunately. In this episode, before we start the trunk itself, we need to create a new roll pan. We'll be working with 1.2 gauge sheet metal, and we're gonna do some forming. We're gonna make a blister for this piece as well. We're gonna do some louvers, some shrinking, some stretching, lots of welding. So make sure you guys tune in. This is gonna be a pretty fun little episode. Gonna be something simple, effective, and hopefully we take a few style points as well. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit notifications, and let's get into the video. All right, so that lower pan where the trunk lid actually comes down and attaches to is not gonna work due to where this sits, right? So I need to make something, and what I'm thinking is I'm actually gonna shorten the door. I wanna put I'm gonna call this the roll pan or back of the car. I'm gonna make it this height, whereas it's usually down here and it runs across. Once that's done, we'll have this boxed in, and then we know where we can start to make our door.
Well, life has nearly killed me, and my mind has put me on the edge. Life has nearly killed me, and put me on the edge.
And I'm just gonna lay everything out on this, and then I need to kind of pre-plan where I'm gonna use the wheel to give it a little bit of curve, and then where I need to do my brakes as well. And then once that's kind of curved in that, we can go up and see where that back of the motor is gonna make contact to it, and then we can slowly trim it away, and then we'll build a little blister that will sit off of it.
Darkness nearly drowned me, and the sunlight, Lord, don't it burn my eyes. This valley is much too deep, and this mountain so very high. Well, my cup is nearly empty. I got such a long, long way to go. My cup is nearly empty. I got such a long, long way to go. I got to lay down here and rest before I can take another step down that lonesome road where the darkness nearly drowned me. The sunlight burned my eyes. This valley is much too deep, and this mountain so very high. I gotta lay down here and rest where I can take another step down this lonesome road.
So I know what the radius is of that lower panel, and I can run it through the English wheel a bunch, but I'm just gonna try using the slip roller to see how much form I can get out of it before I break my edges and then shrink them to make everything fit. So this is just kind of allowing me to do that. And I know that it starts a little bit more towards the bottom, so I've just sort of worked it. I have it pulling even on both sides. Whether or not it's gonna work is another story, but I kind of have a feeling that that is, you know, we're on track, which would be really cool. So we're gonna have our brake about there, something like that. So we definitely know that we can form it a fair amount, but I wanted to put a bit of shape into it just to see if it was gonna work. One thing too that you'll probably notice, I always try and keep these really clean, and I keep them oiled with transmission fluid like ATF and 50% mineral terps. And I just usually spray them and then just have a towel that lives over top of them. This isn't usually where this is like lives, nor do I really want it to, because it is exactly where I grind and there's a lot of mess. So once we're in the new workshop, we'll definitely have everything sort of separated from the clean to the dirty. Again, too, probably a good thing to do, and I haven't done it, but is clean your steel prior to using any of your, you know, your brake or your slip roller. The guillotine's probably okay. Definitely your English wheel, you want to make sure that you have no surface rust on there, because all that's going to transfer. So you want to make sure your dies are really clean and your steel is really clean, and that's going to make a huge difference when it comes to how the overall product will come out. That was my last pair of white ones too. Fucking spewing. Full blowout. Air it out. I had a massive piece of lemon meringue pie last night. Like huge. That's probably what it was. Full blowout. Can't believe it. Yeah, Carhartt. Shout out to you guys. Help me help you guys to not have to look at that ever again. That's a horrible scene. Oh, Shiza. So I'm using the tipping dies and I'm trying to break the opposite way. Unfortunately, I can't do that with the magnetic brake due to how close they are together. So this should, as long as I keep the dies on the line and keep it consistent, we'll be able to turn this piece up. I'm not really putting any pressure on it yet.
Just here. I know there's something out there for me, baby, and I know my time is dear.
Okay, so this is kinda what we're dealing with. So there is actually enough room to put a bit of pinch weld on there, and that pinch weld will actually add as a kind of a block between the two materials. I'm thinking, you know, should we try and put a couple more louvers in this part as well? Because, you know, that's a fair amount of covering that we're doing for the motor. I mean, this area, yeah, it'd be great if that was louvered, but I'm just thinking, you know, the more the better probably. So I'm trying to keep that in mind as I'm doing this. And then I haven't done anything to the bottom. I have allowed a little extra material. So whether or not I just do a little break just to kind of, you know, make it firm, or maybe I'll break it inwards just so when you look under the car, it'll look a little bit more finished. And then these ones here, we'll do the same. We'll run those through the tipping dies, and then we can shrink this area to try and get this exact profile. All right, so after I've broken those edges, it's time to start forming them. Like you can see, I've just started doing. I have a little reference here, and what I did was just use a bit of cardboard. I held it up to where I want it. I just scribed a line and cut that out. So now I have a reference on taking this and making it fit there. So we need to curve this flange in order to match that radius. If you guys haven't, or are new to the channel or haven't seen these are called kick shrinkers, and they have little dies in them, and when they come down, if Ben comes over here and he can zoom in on them, they have these little grit in there. When I press down, it'll grab and then it pulls in. So what that's doing is creating a tuck. So the tuck is what's shrinking the metal. So we're putting it in, then it's closing it and it's shrinking it. So the more we shrink, obviously it's going to shrink this material here, which is then going to slowly give us a curve on the outside. So if we hold this guy up, we know that we are, just with a little bit more, going to get really close to making that work. So I need to put more in here, here. Very close. A couple more right in there. Oh yeah. So it's probably better I do that now, and then we can get this to fit. Okay, so we have our initial roll pan layout. I just broke this edge just to tighten everything up, and it sits sort of true 90 degrees or parallel to the top here, which is exactly what we want. Now, because of the bottom of that intake, I need to notch this area out. I'm not exactly sure how much to notch it out. It's going to be something really simple. It's going to take a little bit of the structure out of this roll pan itself, but I'm hoping once we figure out where we can put it, I can then just put a little support piece somewhere in behind here and just drill and spot weld or rivet it, or you know, something make it look kind of cool. I'd say I'd like to come up just a little bit more.
Take a breath and make it out of
what I've started to create that you've seen me cut out on this, and I've just been playing around. Same process as doing the brake. We just used the tipping die in the bead roller, ran around, and then we just used our shrinker and a little bit of stretching where I kind of over shrunk it. And now we've come up with this. I've just laid it down, I've hammered and dollied as much as I can, and I'd like to clean it up a little bit more, but I want to get the overall shape. So what I'm thinking is, I know that my center of the air cleaner or intake is there, and my center is there. So I want to be able to create something that goes like this, and that this will actually get cut so that this bit will sit flush on the table with this, so we can weld it all in together. And so this will be one piece blended in and then kind of have this little step. And this step, that cover, will cover the bottom of the intake, or that back air piece that comes off the motor. So what I would like to do now is I'm going to lay this down. I'll use my surface gauge. I'll just run around here, and then I'll cut that so I know that it's going to be dead flat. Then we will come over here, lay it down level on the table. We'll get this squared off, and then what I'm going to try and do is just scribe this, and then I'll just trim, and I won't go all the way. I'm just going to trim it, and then I'll creep up on the line to make sure that I am getting where I want to be as far as where that's going to sit. But what I want to do is get this sorted first, and then we can kind of play around with that. So I'm going to So I'm just using our black Sharpie as our scribe. And this is just going to help us get a nice square. And then I can go back and I will clean up all of our shrinking marks with the sander and hammer and dolly. But this will get our initial layout done. All right, so we have our piece. I've just kind of hammered and dollied, tried to get a little bit of the tucking marks out from shrinking this whole area, and I just cleaned it up and just in preparation to be able to weld another little bit to it. I did run this part through the English wheel a couple times just to kind of give it a little bit of curve, because what I want to do is actually join this weld seam right to this. So the curve kind of goes like that, and then once it rolls this way, it'll roll up, so it won't have any hard lines. So I'm hoping I can blend it where it'll just look like one piece the whole way through. So I've just drilled a couple clecos, and I'm just going to pop these in to show you. Now it's got a little bit more form, but we have to fill this void. So I want to fill this area across and have this flush with the bottom of that. So if we put it on the table, and Ben shoots down this way, this whole area here, I want to fill in and fill these sides in. And what I want to do as well, I have to decide whether or not I want to louver this, because if I do, I want to pop a louver or two in this prior to welding it to here. So I would like to kind of get an initial layout. I'll look at the Roadster, the back of it, to see how many rows I get for width-wise. And if I can line a couple up. I think that the biggest thing now is just to try and do this piece. Once we tack that in, I can remove this. Probably should try and use paper, but I think this would work if I could.
I woke up in the middle of the night, opened my eyes and my oh my, I'm dreaming you. Well, all my dreams are sweet when I lay me down and sleep, not dreaming you. Don't give me no fuss, don't give me no fight. It's only one thing in the middle of the night I need, that's dreaming you. Well, all my dreams are sweet when I lay me down and sleep, I'm dreaming and your daddy too, your brother and your sisters and your best friend too. I'm dreaming of you. Well, all my dreams are sweet when I lay me down to sleep, I'm dreaming of you. Well, all my dreams are sweet when I lay me down to sleep, not dream of you.
Okay, so we have our little piece here, and now I need to join all this together, and then we'll put it down. I left a little bit of extra meat here, just so that I'm making sure that when this is all flat, we'll have a nice consistent edge all the way around. Oh. You know what works really well for doing this as well? If you don't have clamps and you have a little piece of sheet metal with 2 holes in it, you could drill 2 holes in here and you can run 2 clecos all the way around and it could hold it. It's another thing. But then you have holes to fill too, which can be sort of a pain in the butt, but another option. All right, so we got our jig that I've designed for the press brake in Liam's workshop with the hydraulic one. So we got that set up. I am gonna use the 4-inch louver. I really like the 3-inch one. I think personally, I like it better. I like the look of it. But this is more about functionality than looks. You know, when we did the louvers on the back of the trunk lid of the Roadster, it has no benefit. It's probably, you know, worse than doing it because now you have to deal with the weather and stuff. But does it look cool? Of course. But this is gonna look cool, but also play a function. So it is a 4-inch louver, and sometimes when I'm doing a layout, I'll actually just cut little pieces of paper. So this is just 25 by 100. This is the width of the ruler, and I just cut a couple. That way I can just lay it out and see whether or not they're gonna be too close, or do we eliminate one and have not a center. But I wanna run a center one because I wanna plop a couple in here. Unfortunately, this is off by about 6 mil where the motor sits, because that intake that's on there is actually not perfectly center of that, that piece. You're not gonna see it, I'll know it, but the actual center line is right here and it's a little bit over. So the louver is not gonna be perfectly centered on this, nor that you're actually gonna even see this. It's all gonna be hidden behind the bumper. So it doesn't really matter. So the bumper is gonna sit, the edge of it's gonna sit right here on that line. So I don't wanna, what I was trying to explain is if this was your louver, let's just round this edge off, and if it was sitting like that and you were looking at the back of the car, it's gonna look weird. It's gonna look like it was an afterthought.
I'm gonna fly. I don't care if it's wrong, babe.
Yeah, she's all going here, but we've got the jig set up. I use my feeler gauge, making sure I got ample amount of room between it, but not enough to leave a burr. Biggest thing is where our louver is. We're only gonna get about 3. And this close edge here gets a little bit too close to where this piece is. So we're gonna go 3, 2, single, single, 2, or 2, 3. We're gonna go in and start whacking some louvers. All right, well, I'm pretty pleased with the way that these came out. And you can get the idea what I was explaining with the trying to step them. So because we have to weld this piece in here, whether or not it's welded and afterwards I might be able to squeeze another one in, which means I could put one here. That corner is going to run right into it, so I don't think we'll do one there. So I can do a couple in here, maybe to make it 3, 2, 1. I don't know. Even that, I'm sorta. I think if I were yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe simple's better. Maybe once this is all welded together, that's enough. So it's going to be something like that. All right, so we got it set up, and I'm just going to start to do a few light tacks and get it in position where I want it, and then we can do a final weld on it.
winding round words in my head. Shivering pines say that summer is dead. Chest feels hollow and my hands are numb. Do my best to swallow all the things I've done. You break your back, but you still don't have bread. You won't go back on the things that you said. You bleed your heart out, and it takes every drop. You've come too far now to ever stop. Wash me in the water and I'll never go back. Even when I'm walking to dead man pass. You can't trust a man 'cause he'll just let you down. Crooked and twisted we grow from the ground. From dust we came in, dust we shall return. From dust we came in, dust we shall return. Wash me in the water and I'll never go back. Even when I'm walking through the dead man path.
So I've just put a little bit of weather seal on there. This bit needs to be trimmed out still, but I would like to try and keep the rubber part. So the pinch weld, I'm gonna try and modify it where I can glue the backside and the base, but then this rubber will actually stay there just to seal the trunk down. So it should work. But there you have it. A kind of complicated, but simple, I guess, roll pan for the back. So now we have something that can be bolted in, removed when the motor needs to come in and out. But we have our little blister or kind of our shape here that is allocated for where the intake is off the back of the motor. You can see I've added a couple more louvers. So once I welded it in there, I decided to go for it. That weld is right through here. And I was a little bit worried what was going to happen with the back side. So you can kind of see, obviously nothing's cleaned in here yet, but the weld was right through here. I planished it out, was able to metal finish it quite nicely, and it's got that flow I was talking about. So it rolls this way and then kind of comes up and then goes flat out the back. So it still has that shape throughout it. What I'd like to do is just go and get it fitted. I just drilled a couple holes, got a few clecos to hold it into place, and then we can stand back and see what the final, final look is. Okay, so I don't have the weather seal on the sides yet. I've just got it on the top and bottom, and that's just because I want to measure to make sure I can lock it in. I'm just going to stick these guys in so you can get an idea. Okay. Now, we'll make mounts off the back of this that will connect into those existing brackets that come off the frame rails on the inside here. I want to make this pretty rigid, and we want it to be rigid, obviously, because we want to be able to still bring this trunk down. So now, you know, the original one probably came to about here, and now we've made this come up a little bit. Our bumper, again, is going to sit right along the bottom of these ones here. So you will, in fact, see these guys, which is going to be cool. But then basically everything under there is going to be hidden. But that's okay, because we still want to have a little bit of a coverage there, and it looks really nice when you do look under it. So these obviously look like they're sitting down a lot, but we can even bolt the bumper in, and just to give you guys an idea what it's all going to look like. So this is a big one. This is where I want your guys' opinion on what I should do. When this comes down, we gotta have to fix it somehow. And what I wanna do is, I wanna utilize either, say, this is a 32 hood mount, and they have a little built-in spring in there. You guys have seen them. They're on the sides of the old Model A's and 32s. This would be really cool if we had it locked in like that. And then this bit would obviously pull up and lock into something. So we can then, this would rest down. We can lift this up if you're doing something in here, and then we shut the back trunk lid, and then we take these and lock them on. They do make these aftermarket. You can get really nice chrome ones, which would, I think, look quite neat on here. It's kind of ties into that early hot rod, even aircraft theme, just with some old school latches. Another option is, pictured now, is a set of Ferrari hood latches. Now these are really cool. They use sort of a spring, and you pull them, and then they have a little pivot, and then they would have a little embossment that you fit to the actual trunk lid, and then they spin, lock into place, and then when you want to get into the trunk, you just pull and turn them 90 degrees, and then you can pull in. They're kind of an original piece that would have been on a Ferrari. I think even early like Bugattis had them. But I want your guys' opinion. I don't want to do like leather straps or anything like that, and I don't want to do kind of some sort of turn handle things. I want something to be visible on the back side, because everything is going to be really nice and simple. We'll have some louvers here. It'll all be painted. We'll have the nickel plate bumper. This bit here is kind of our stainless. We have this, and then we'd have two little chrome pieces, whether it's those Ferrari ones or the Model A ones. So let me know in the comments what you guys think would look nice, whether it is A, those Model A style hood latches, or B, the Ferrari style ones. I'm going to close this video now. We are going to, in the future video, make the actual trunk lid part. Once you guys decide what you think I should do for these latches, I'll get those ordered so I have them ready for when we go to build this structure and louver all that as well. And again, you're not really going to get that full impact until this is all painted and we got that nickel plating done on those bumpers. So the biggest thing was getting this done so that I can fit the bumper and I know where everything's going to sit so that we can get those bumpers and a few other bits that we need to do prepped for getting chroming. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed that and saw, you know, kind of different techniques, I guess, doing the louvering and welding in our things, some planishing, but ultimately we just wanted to make a cool and custom roll pan that is functional but also has some really neat style to it. So hopefully these louvers will help expel a little bit of the heat out of this area, but once we get this trunk down and that's all louvered too, I think it's going to be spot on. So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. We will see you next week on Bennett's Customs.
Wash me in the water and I'll never go back, even when I'm walking through dead man paths. Wash me in the water and I'll never go back, even when I'm walking through